The time is at hand.
Nestled quietly in the Appalachian Mountains in Williamson, West Virginia, this is In Dark Places. Crackheads, unite! Well, since the last time we talked, David Grush has met with Congress again to discuss UFO disclosure again. I don't know about this guy. Why is he still alive? They can kill off a bunch of scientists, make it look like suicides because they knew too much. They stumbled on something they weren't supposed to see. Who knows? But this guy, David Grush, is still alive. What if this whole disclosure thing is just prepping people for some sort of control that they're setting up next? What if they're just letting certain things be known just because it fits their narrative? What if this David Grush is just one of the puzzle pieces that they want you to see? I don't know. Something seems really fishy about the whole UFO disclosure thing. This week on the show I've got Appalachian UFO reports, straight from the files of the National UFO Reporting Center. Check out nuforc.org and say howdy to Peter Davenport. This first report comes from Martinsville, Virginia on May 1st, 2026 at 12:30 a.m. In the sky was a round metallic disc. It appeared to be way up in the sky with the sun glistening off of it. My cousin asked what it was, and I looked up and seen it plain as day. It wasn't moving. We both seen it, but I only seen it for maybe about 5 seconds. And then all of a sudden it wasn't there. We didn't see it go in any direction, just like a light switch. The object we both clearly seen was gone, and we were left wondering what it was. It was obviously a round disc with the sun glistening off its left side. We'd never seen it fly off, it just disappeared. Bristol, Tennessee, May 3rd at 9:53 p.m. Looking up in the direction of Jupiter, I saw a bright white light that looked unfamiliar. As I got up to move to the darkest section of the yard, I could see several more white lights in a perfect row directly behind it as they moved west. Not fast, but moving. No flashing, no moving out of the straight line behind the first one, and all evenly spaced. They were the size of Jupiter, is the best way for me to explain the size. It was like another star in the sky. Then, halfway across the sky, they went dark. Sorry, that sounds like Starlink to me. This one has a video. I'll put a link up for these videos so you can see them on non-YouTube platforms. Dutton, Alabama, May 7th, 12 a.m. This is the second day of 4 between the dates of May 5th through May 12th. I have submitted to other reports along with video and photographs. This phenomenon is happening now over a large area of northeast Alabama, particularly the towns of Dutton, Pisgah, and Hannegar. Unknown objects began appearing in the area around a year ago and have steadily increased as of late in both frequency and duration. They all start similar with a large central object that is bright white in color that will, I can only describe as out of a visual line of sight within seconds, and then will come back, sometimes with other craft. There's no punctuation on this, and it's very painful to read. On the night of May 12th, I observed, once again, one large orb-shaped object in the air. But this time it disappeared from visual, but then, once again, only what I can describe as either changing its form into what would appear to be an aircraft, or the object itself left while the aircraft that was remaining was approaching without my knowledge. Anytime I tried to put a digital recorder on either my cell phone, I have a S23 Ultra. I can zoom all the way to the surface of the moon. If I attempt to zoom in on the object, it cuts my camera off electronically and will not allow it to zoom properly. It will emit a bright light almost directed seemingly at me. Cameras will shut off. Thermal binoculars were shut off. Cell phones just trying to take photographs were pixelated. The only possible scenario, in my opinion, that this would be man-made is I live about an hour away from Redstone Federal Arsenal in Huntsville, Alabama. Obviously, they would do military testing, but never anything to this extent. Nothing that would describe the fluid movements, the shifting, unless zero-point energy was involved, and I doubt they would have that in Alabama. There's also 2 nuclear power plants that mostly generate power for Google's servers that are under a military guard. Objects often approach from that area. Stanford, Kentucky, May 7th at 7:25 p.m. Unknown shape. It was too shiny and reflective to see the exact shape. It was there and it vanished quickly. Driving south on Highway 27, a chrome reflective thing in the sky got my attention. There's no clouds out, nor other planes or helicopters. There's no evidence of jets that have been in the area leaving a trail in the sky. The object just stayed in one spot and was the shiniest metal I've ever saw. As I looked at it, it started to get smaller very fast, and then it just vanished within seconds. It was as if somebody popped a balloon. It happened so fast. This one has videos from Martinsburg, West Virginia, May 8th, 8:45 p.m. Sighted as I exited my vehicle after parking in front of the house. 4 to 5 orange balls approaching from the east, heading roughly west/west-northwest. Balls were in loose formation and proceeded out of sight to west. No navigational lights or engine sounds observed, and night was quiet with minimal road noises. Perspective of orange ball remained the same regardless of orientation from myself. Shortly after the first 4 or 5 passed overhead, another orange ball approached from the east from the same general direction and proceeded to follow the original group. Again, shortly after passing overhead, the last orange ball came from the east and proceeded to the west. Angle of elevation was initially about 20 degrees, maxing out at 90. And that's some insanely good videos. Be sure to check those out. Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, May 9th, 8 p.m. While driving eastbound on Highway 64 near the Natchez Trace Parkway, I observed an unidentified aerial object traveling at an extremely high rate of speed at approximately a 60-degree downward angle toward the ground. The object appeared cigar-shaped, displayed a distinct light on each end, and like a meteor, there was no visible tail, streak, or fragmentation. I maintained visual contact for only about 5 seconds before the object disappeared near the tree line. Due to the speed, shape, and lighting configuration, it appeared more consistent with a craft or drone than a typical meteor or aircraft. Batesville, Mississippi, May 9th, 8:30 p.m. I was driving from Batesville to Oxford on Highway 278 East. Had seen a helicopter around the Walmart area in Batesville, and so as I drove further east, my eyes were sort of searching the sky. It was dusk, so there was still some light out. In the sky, relatively high up, I saw a light come into view on the far right side of the window. It looked like a plane crashing, dropping fast to the ground in a slight arc. There were 2 lights in whatever this was, one on each end. Okay, stop the press. This is insanely interesting to me. It's just like the report from Lawrenceburg, Tennessee, the same night 30 minutes earlier over Batesville, Mississippi. Very cool. It was a thing with lights on both ends of it. Same object. Anyway, I love that. It was too far off and high up to get a look at the actual object. However, if you can imagine a line with a light in each end, that's how the lights were spaced. The lights themselves did not burn or pulsate in the way falling stars would, though its movement and behavior looked a bit similar. Still, there was something more controlled in its movement, and the lights looked electric. It made a wide arc toward the ground, but the lights disappeared, as though both suddenly cut off before it hit the tree line. I've done a lot of driving and have seen my share of falling stars on the highway. This was unmistakably different. If it hadn't suddenly disappeared, I'd say it was a plane crashing. If the lights and movement were different, I'd say falling star. If it were smaller and closer to the ground, I'd say drone. This was truly unidentified. This one has a drawing. It's from Zanesville, Ohio. May 9th. Me and my wife were outside on our farm in Muskingum County, Ohio, on the night of May 9th at around 11 p.m. watching stars. No clouds, clear night, good moonlight. Out of nowhere, this thing came from behind us. We didn't hear it coming at all. Zero sound the whole time. It entered my field of view, and I immediately knew it wasn't normal. Hard edge, very obvious, silhouette against the sky. We could clearly make out the shape in the moonlight. It was house-sized, bell-shaped, flat on the bottom, domed on top, with a small square cap at the very top that had one single light on it. 8 lights on the craft were flashing in a triangular pattern as it slowly rotated. I could make out what looked like windows. It was roughly 500 yards out, not directly overhead. It drifted slow and steady toward the northwest, in the direction of U.S. Route 40. It covered my 4-acre field in about 3 or 4 minutes. We calculated that puts it at roughly 1.5 to 2 miles an hour. It never changed speed, never changed altitude, just floated through and kept going until it was out of sight. Complete silence the entire time. No engine, no hum, no prop wash, nothing. Me and my wife separately drew sketches of what we saw without talking to each other first. The sketches match. Recalculated speed, approximately 1.5 to 2 miles an hour. Still slower than a bicycle. Conclusion unchanged. Okay, I think I say this every time we read Appalachian UFO reports, but I promise it's true. Out of the 13 states in the Appalachian Mountain region, no other state has more UFO sightings than Pennsylvania. And this one is from Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania, May 11th, 9:05 p.m. I was coming from my apartment to the parking lot when I saw this green light that would flash. Then, a few times it would turn red. The object would flash green like a blinking light. I could not see the shape of the object, but the light was round. It hovered in the sky above the hill, but then would move down a little and go back up. It finally disappeared. Point Pleasant, West Virginia. May 11th, 9:45 p.m. White circles coming out of one spot in the sky, lighting up bright and then moving fast before disappearing. Constantly doing it. This is the 5th or 6th time I've seen this in the past few months. 5 people saw the first few times, with others in the community, also reporting it online. Not sure what it is, but it is bizarre. Tuscaloosa, Alabama, May 12th at 6:20 p.m. It caught my eye in the sky because of how reflective it was. Very bright, minimal to no clouds. The size of it would have to be fairly large because it was the equivalent of holding up a dime at arm's reach, but it was obviously miles away. Perfectly round. It's like the reflection hit me directly if you were to rotate a round mirror in the sun. The reflection was about 6 seconds long until you could see it rotate slowly flat on the reflection, and the reflection disappeared. The object completely disappeared. It did not rotate around. Then it just went flat and was gone. Other than the rotation, it was not moving. I have no doubt it was miles away, but that means the object was incredibly large. I'm not sure how long it was up there, but from the time I noticed the brightness, I showed my friend in the passenger seat. He saw it too, and he watched it fade away as it rotated just like me. The weather was clear and calm. It wasn't moving. Unremarkable winds. Just as it reflected, you could tell it was metallic. It wasn't a plane or helicopter. It was like watching a coin the size of a football field flip in slow motion. And when it was completely horizontal, it disappeared. Maybe unrelated, but phone service and satellite radio was very spotty throughout the rest of the day. May have started an hour before, but it was not a satellite falling out of the sky. Batesville, Mississippi. Again. May 14th at 4:11 a.m. Me and my mother were driving on Interstate 55. There's a lot of driving reports. Quit looking for UFOs while you're driving. You're as bad as me. This is when we both saw a flaming triangular disc-shaped object appear in the sky. It had lights under it and shined blue and green and red. It appeared for about 6 to 8 seconds and then zipped away without a trail. Sawyersville, Pennsylvania, May 15th, 11 p.m. I was walking after being dropped off, and I had my earbuds in, and I heard a loud noise even with them in. So I took the earbuds out, and it sounded like something flying, but not a plane. Then I looked up and I didn't see anything, but it sounded so close. Then it just appeared from out of nowhere. It was like 75% disc shaped. It was almost like a triangle in the back of it, with, had it been, hundreds of lights, mostly whitish yellow kinda. But I saw a couple different colors, and it was hard to comprehend what I was seeing, and I watched it for as long as I could, and then it looked like it went into a cloud, and then the lights disappeared. Winder, Georgia, May 16th, 7:25 p.m. Black circle / sphere moved at one speed and did not move erratically. Stayed in a straight line until I lost it behind trees. This direction would be toward Ashton, Georgia. The object was much lower than drones or planes that I have seen nearby. Port Dickinson, New York, May 16th, 8:40 p.m. Brightly lit circular object moving steady, not fast, in a westerly direction over the baseball field where I was sitting watching the game. I happened to look up as the game was ending, and I saw a lighted circular object moving across the sky overhead. I don't believe anyone else saw it but me. I was just about to tell my wife to look up quick when the object completely vanished from view, like a light switch had just been turned off. I know it sounds crazy, but I know what I saw. Okay, this one doesn't seem like it should be in Appalachia, but according to Google it is. It's in Lycoming County, which is a part of the Appalachian Mountains. Who knew? It's from Jersey Shore, Pennsylvania, May 19th. Sunday night, we didn't have the trout stream until about 10 p.m. It was already pitch black by that time. We hauled the canoe back up to the car and hoisted it onto the roof rack. While someone else was busy strapping it down, I stepped away about 50 feet, and there was absolutely no ambient light out there. Standing there in the quiet, I looked up at a perfectly clear, calm sky packed with stars. The kind of dark night where everything stands out in sharp contrast. Then, completely out of nowhere, a massive object crossed the sky directly overhead. From my perspective, its visual scale was easily the size of the moon or the sun as it passed directly over me. I could clearly see rigid square wings or panels jutting out from its sides. The whole thing happened in a flash. It moved with incredible speed, cleared the mountain ridge line in just 1 or 2 seconds, or perhaps disappeared into the mountainside. It left me standing there in the dark, staring at an empty sky, trying to process exactly what I had just witnessed. Chickamauga, Georgia, May 17th, 11:45 p.m. I was standing outside my house facing west, about to smoke, before going to bed. As I looked up from my lighter, I saw a dull orange orb that's emitting bright light. It's slowly drifting north, occasionally slightly stuttering in its movement before continuing north. Other than the small stutters, its movement speed was very consistent. I watched it float behind the tree line across the street. I assumed it was just a weird drone or something, and waited outside for about 30 minutes. I never saw an orange light, an orange orb, or really anything that could resemble the UFO show up again or reappear from behind the tree line. I walked around in my yard to get a better angle and to see if it had been a drone or something similar that had gotten caught in the trees, but it would have been obvious with how bright the orb shone. This is what I see all the time. Pretty much any given night I look up and see these. This is from Valent, Pennsylvania, May 19th, 9:40 p.m. Was out observing the moon and Jupiter as a cloud cover moved in, obscuring my view. So I sat back to enjoy the remaining stars overhead before I could no longer see them. One of the blue stars, quote, overhead, which had been stationary, brightened slightly, catching my attention, and then it began moving. Soon 2 more blue stars began moving east, and a red one traveled east in slightly zigzag movement. After a few minutes, 2 more stars began moving northward. They seemed to go in and out of focus, causing a weird sensation in my eyes, like I was training to see them. Finally, one last star began moving south in a start-stop motion before the clouds finally covered the sky. This one has a video. It's from Harvest, Alabama, May 24th, 9:01 p.m. Red craft hovering over my deck would change form and spin really fast. It would zigzag around real fast. Looked like a hologram. Pikeville, Kentucky. Me and Brandon spend a lot of time in Pikeville. Pretty much any given day off, we're over at Pikeville. There's nothing to do here in Williamson, so we just hang out over there. This was on May 28th. We have been seeing these orbs for a while. It's as if they're interacting with us. The movements are impossible for any known creations. It is a positive experience every time. We are intelligent people of sound mind. No known objects or species on Earth can create this type of activity. The orbs are here weekly. Tonight specifically was very active. We usually do not take our phones outside. I took my phone once and aimed it at the orb, and it did not show up clearly at all on the screen. I have not tried to capture any photos again. It just feels pointless. Yeah, I feel you there. I can never get them on camera. Positive feelings with every interaction. The orbs were going every direction. They would stop and go another direction, and they would shake from side to side, and then stopped at times. Okay, I've got one last one. This is from Hiawassee, Georgia, May 30th. We were awakened at 11:54 p.m. by our dog barking ferociously. Immediately after, we had blinding lights blinking outside our bedroom window, accompanied by large, noisy popping sounds. There was one final popping sound, and then it was gone. Our neighbor, the third person, heard the popping sounds as well, but did not see the lights. The lights were blinding. My husband went outside to investigate, but found nothing. All was quiet in our neighborhood. Nobody was up, no parties going on, etc. There was a full moon, I believe. I had looked outside before going to bed, and the moon was extremely bright, lighting up the whole area like it was daylight. After the incident, it was quite dark outside. And she is correct. There was a full moon on May 30th. And it looks like that is the end of the UFO reports for May 2026 in the Appalachian Mountain region, according to the National UFO Reporting Center. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again next week with some crazy cryptid stories. Thanks as always, Peter Davenport at the National UFO Reporting Center. I'll see you again next week. God bless.